Hey sisters, we are back with part 2 on the 6 biggest holiday food struggles that I see women consistently run into every single holiday season. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, make sure you go to the description and click on the link for part 1. We talked about what to do about all of the food abundance, how to eat in a balanced and nourishing way, and what to do if you're one of those people that is constantly taste testing as you're cooking and baking. But if you've already watched part 1, then we are just going to jump right into problem number 4. Let's get into it. Moving on to number 4, how to deal with food pushers. This is if you feel like your family's love language is food. So maybe you are following all this previous advice, but you get to Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner and your grandma made your favorite pumpkin pie and you have a piece and you feel good and satisfied and you don't want any more, but your grandma insists you need to have more because she made this special for you. And she almost feels offended if you don't want more. How do you handle that? The number one thing that you need to remember is that it is not your responsibility to manage other people's expectations and perceptions of you. So you can respond saying, you know what, Grandma, I really appreciate that you show so much love with the food that you cook, and it is so delicious, and I am so grateful for you and all of this food. I know you worked so hard. And if she continues to push, then you are still allowed to say, I am an adult and I'm trying to heal my relationship with food and body and nourish my body. And so it is important that I decide for myself when I eat, what I eat, and how much I eat. And if she is offended by that, that is not your problem to fix. You approached it in a compassionate and loving way. You didn't do anything wrong by setting a boundary. You train people how to treat you to an extent. Obviously, there are things like manipulation and narcissism, but a lot of people aren't trying to manipulate you and they're not necessarily narcissistic. Maybe they're just used to you always saying yes to them and being kind of a people pleaser. And so that's how they expect you to act. And when you don't act that way and you start setting boundaries, they feel offended. That's not your fault. If you tend to kind of be a people pleaser, a question that you may need to ask yourself is, have I been blaming my family for feeding me too much food? That is not blame that I can put on them. I'm an adult and I can take responsibility of how much I eat, when I eat, and what I eat. We should take a posture of hospitality and gratitude. But at the end of the day, it is okay to listen to your body's needs. The 5 biggest food struggle is actually not so much related to food directly, but your emotions. It is the stress and the busyness of the holidays. A lot of women, and especially moms that I work with, are completely drained during the holiday season, emotionally and physically. So maybe this leads you to using food to cope for not getting any of your needs met and feeling completely burned out. Maybe you struggle with certain family dynamics that are awkward or difficult. Maybe you struggle with perfectionism, people pleasing, or self-imposed expectations. All of this may feel like too much to deal with, and you go to food to cope. Not only that, but a lot of your other needs are probably going unmet, and we know that all cravings are messengers communicating an unmet need. So the more needs that go unmet, the more cravings you're probably going to have, and if you don't respond to those needs in a nourishing way, no food is going to feel satisfying enough, and you are going to want more and more and more food in order to cope. You need to go into the holiday season with a posture of gratitude rather than a posture of pressure. Be selective about how many things you take on during the holiday season. You need to be able to say no to certain things so you can say yes to the most important things, like being able to fully enjoy the holiday season with your family. To be grateful for Christ and God and for bringing your family together and your friends together. Focus on the things that are most important, meaningful, and enjoyable to you and your family. Less is more during the holiday season. If you take on too much, you're going to be miserable, and more than likely, so is the rest of your family. It doesn't serve anybody for you to be completely, utterly burnt out all holiday season and then feel like a failure that feels even more ashamed in their body because of all this emotional and stress eating. Come back to your freedom to choose. Ask God, what is the most important things that you should focus on this holiday season, and surrender the rest to Him. And make sure you pay attention to your needs. Carve out time to sleep, to rest, to pray, to work on your spirituality, to work on your mental health, to include some physical activity. You don't have to kill yourself in the gym, but get some movement in. And also make sure you delegate tasks. You don't have to do it all. It does not serve anybody when you are constantly shoving down your own needs. One of the best things that I see happen with my clients when they start meeting their own needs is they say their entire family operates better. You are afraid that if you start meeting your needs, that it's selfish and then nobody else will be taken care of. Wrong. When your needs start going met, I'm not saying it has to be the you parade and everything revolves around you. No. What I am saying though is when you start to meet some of your needs even, that your whole family will respond in a positive way. Your whole family will function better. You were not created to be ignored. You were not created to be a doormat. You were created to be a gift and to receive gifts. If we were all only meant to give, then who would be there to receive? We are meant to be givers and receivers of gifts. I'm not talking about consumerism gifts. I'm talking about real, actual, fulfilling gifts. And finally, number 6, emotional connections to holiday food. This might be because food brings about family and communion and fellowship, but it also might be that there's a lot of family traditions around the holidays revolving food, and there's an emotional connection to that food. Let me tell you something. That's okay. Emotional eating is actually very, very normal. We should not be completely devoid of emotions when we eat, when there is food involved. The Bible talks a lot about feasting. There should be a posture of gratitude and joy when food is involved. It is a gift. I have emotional connections to foods that my grandma made that no one else could really make as well as hers, like her cinnamon rolls, her German potato salad, and her beer rocks. So when I have cinnamon rolls like hers, when I have German potato salad and beer rocks that are similar to hers, it is normal and good to have emotions there. Emotional eating can actually be very, very healthy. But when it becomes destructive is when food becomes our number one coping tool. It becomes destructive when we use food to numb out our emotions. Remember, all cravings are your body's way of communicating some form of a need. And if you are constantly suppressing those needs, especially your emotional needs with food, that need is never going to go met. If food didn't technically cause the craving, then food is not going to be the solution to the craving. And I do believe that oftentimes we ignore our need to eat way too often. But there's an entire other end of the pendulum where we go to food way too often to numb out. Restriction and numbing with food are not ways that we can steward our body. How do you know when to say yes to food and when to say no to food and actually go to something else that will be a better coping skill? You need to learn to interpret your cravings. You need to know the difference between a craving that is telling you, I actually need to eat, or hey, this pumpkin pie sounds really good. I can actually have a slice of this pumpkin pie. And because I know I actually want pumpkin pie and it's not about all these other emotions, when I eat this pumpkin pie guilt-free and I don't put all this shame to it, that I'll probably feel satisfied from one piece and then I can just move on. How do you know the difference between that and, ooh, I want this pumpkin pie because I feel really sad and I think pumpkin pie is going to make me feel good momentarily. But I'm not going to do anything about the sadness. In fact, I'm going to try to ignore the sadness. You've got to learn to interpret your cravings. This is a skill that I teach in Integral because it is so important for nourishing your body and meeting all of your needs. So many of our needs show up as cravings. The best way that you can start nourishing your body well is to interpret these cravings. If you want to know more about interpreting your cravings, I actually have a free 15-minute mini session where I will take you through exactly how to interpret your biggest and most prominent cravings. You will learn what those cravings mean and how to respond in a nourishing way. If that sounds like that's going to be really helpful to you, especially this holiday season, then I will have the link below for you to book your free 15-minute mini session on exactly how to interpret your cravings. There you have it, sisters, the top 6 holiday food struggles that I see countless women struggle with every single holiday season. If you don't want to go into this holiday season feeling burnt out, miserable, and completely out of control around food, now is the best time to sign up for my program. A lot of people don't want to start a health program around the holidays because you have this mindset that you're going to have to give up all of your favorite foods. No, the holiday season is the best time to join Integro because for the first time in your life, you might experience a peaceful holiday season where you are not consumed with food, thoughts, cravings, binging, and emotional eating. You might actually be able to enjoy the holidays for once, and then you won't have to create the same New Year's resolution that you create every single year that inevitably fails because you feel so guilty about all the food you ate throughout the holiday season. Integro will allow you to nourish your body without feeling restricted and without giving up your favorite holiday foods. So if you want a step-by-step system to heal your relationship with food and body so you can learn to love your way to health rather than attempt to shame your way there, then book your free no pressure discovery call to learn more. The link is below in the description. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It'll get my content out to more people. Be sure to comment your biggest food struggle down below so that I can make better videos in the future. And be sure to subscribe to see more content just like this. And let's all remember to pray for each other. I will see you in the next video.